Welcome to the Locked In Baseball podcast. I'm William Locke. He is Luis Barranco. It is Sunday, April 19th. We're about a full month, almost a full month into the MLB season. Luis, how's it going?
It is one of the best times of the year right now. It is the point where we have most sports in full swing. It's like October when you got all four sports equinoxes. Right now, I got the Braves and Phillies in the background. You got Game 1 Boston Bruins versus the Buffalo Sabres. Cam Schlittler's, is going to be tuned into that one. And then you got, NBA playoffs, Detroit Pistons, Orlando Magic, and then you got the Montreal Canadiens versus the Lightning, man. It's great, man. And baseball had some good games today. It was a good weekend. What have you been up to? How have you been, my guy? How's the freeze in Chicago? I hear it is butt cold up there.
Yeah, it was a nice week until this weekend. Then it got cold again. Good weekend, chill weekend. Was out in the suburbs, relaxing. Watched the Michigan Made in March documentary on Paramount Plus, recapping their national championship run, which I thought was an okay documentary. Some cool behind the scenes moments, but did we need 4 episodes of it? Probably not. Also could have skipped through the Kansas stuff if I wanted to. Decided to watch it, but nonetheless, a lot of good baseball this weekend. To your point, it is an exciting weekend with the NHL and NBA playoffs kicking off alongside the MLB regular season. I can't say I watch much NBA or NHL, but it is nice to have. I feel like the NBA playoffs get a lot better once we get into the second and third rounds and obviously the finals, but there's a lot of kind of cakewalk series for some of these teams in the first round, like OKC over Phoenix. That's not even like they don't even need to play the next 3 games. Like it's over.
Whoa. Like you might not be able to get into Arizona now. That's a problem.
I don't care. They probably know that they're not going to have any chance against the Thunder in that series.
Hey, what's your picks? Let's do quickly. Let's run through some picks. Who you got in the first round in the NBA and NHL?
Oh God, I don't even know all the matchups.
I know all the matchups. You got Boston, Philadelphia today, the 2-7 matchup.
That's in the NBA. Yeah, Boston's gonna win that series easily.
You got the Knicks and the Hawks right now.
Knicks.
You got the Cavaliers and the Raptors.
Cavs.
You got the one going on right now, the Pistons and Magic.
Detroit basketball.
So I got the same picks. Now, on the other side, in the Western Conference, the big series, the Lakers and Rockets.
I want to see a LeBron one more run, so give me the Lakers.
I'm taking the Lakers right now. I mean, that mysterious Kevin Durant injury, knee contusion.
Adam Silver working his magic.
Give me the Lakers. OKC, Phoenix.
OKC in 4.
Then you got the Battle of Joe series, Minnesota versus Denver.
Denver, unfortunately. It would be cool to see Ant Edwards make a run, but I'm taking Denver.
And then I think there's one more. The Spurs versus the Trailblazers.
Now, the Spurs is interesting. The Spurs will win that series, but I want to see Wemby have like a deep playoff run. I think that would be really good for the NBA.
That's good. Now let's talk hockey. Who you got in hockey? I'm not even going to go through because you don't know anything of hockey. Who do you like to see?
Are the Rangers in the playoffs?
No, the Rangers are terrible. They were like the worst.
I got nothing then.
You got nothing?
Nothing.
The Blackhawks aren't in it.
Panthers going 3 straight? Is
Panthers,
that possible?
No, the Panthers are eliminated, William. Literally, they played 3. If you keep up with sports, which I don't know if you do, they went through 3 consecutive cup runs where they went back to back, and then this year they had a bunch of injuries in training camp, and everybody got surgery. So a lot of the guys were on the hockey IL, so they're not in it. Right now, the best pick right now is probably the best series right now. In my opinion, is probably going to be Minnesota versus Minnesota Dallas. That's going to be a barn burner of the series. The Avalanche, Colorado, they're a wagon. They won the President's Trophy, which goes to the best team. But there's the curse in hockey that when you win the Presidents, you never win. Some good series. You got the Battle of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh versus Philadelphia. You should tune in. I'm not going to keep going because we're boring the listeners, but you can tune in.
I'm locked in on baseball, man. This time of year, it's hard to watch anything besides baseball at this point in the year, to be honest.
The Lightning series is pretty good. The Lightning versus the Canadiens. I mean, the Canadiens got a good chance. They're a young up and coming team. Dude, tap into some hockey, man.
Maybe I'll watch.
If you're going to be going to Michigan, you got to tap in with the hockey team.
That's fair. I will be definitely tapped into the hockey team next year. You want to kick it off? We'll talk baseball now. We'll move into baseball. We're going to do some temperature checks in this episode across all of the divisions. Who's playing well, who's not, kind of where things stand in general after just under a month of baseball. We're going to be talking, of course, about the Padres sale, some huge news on Friday. The deal is not finalized yet, but we'll talk about that. Some soccer ties. We both follow soccer, so I feel like, football, as they say. I feel like we have a little bit of, maybe more insight than the regular baseball fan would have into that sale. We're going to talk about Mason Miller, maybe winning the Cy Young Award. Yankees had a really good series. Of course, the Mets have lost 11 games straight. That is kind of the story across all of Major League Baseball right now. Of course, we're going to get to that. The Pirates had another good series win. So we're going to get into everything across Major League Baseball this weekend. Before we get into that, we did want to, start out the podcast with talking about Garret Anderson. That was very, very sad news on Thursday. Passed away from a heart attack in his early 50s. And I don't know about you, Luis, but, Garret Anderson was one of those guys that played in the 90s and early 2000s. So obviously me being born in 98, he was kind of one of those first players that I really remember coming up. He was on the 2002 Angels World Series team, he's one of the best players in all of Angels history. And we got some of the numbers up here. And it was just really, really sad news. I mean, he was so young, and we saw all the tributes on Friday night. The Angels played really well in that game, scored 8 runs pretty early on. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, that was just sad news. So we did want to pay tribute to Garret Anderson, one of the best lefty bats, honestly, in the 21st century, or kind of the crossover between the 20th and 21st century. He was a really good player, Angels Hall of Famer. So our thoughts are obviously with his family and everyone associated.
I mean, he's one of the better, bats in the 2000s. I feel like very underrated player. Again, kind of feel like whenever you talk about the Angels, it's one of those teams that you don't really think about like iconic players because they're just like in the shadow of a lot of big teams. But when you remember they did win that World Series, and in the year that they did win the World Series, he did finish 4th in MVP voting with a 306 average, 29 homers, and 123 RBIs. And then he had that big hit in Game 7 of the World Series, a 3-run double in the 3rd inning of the Game 7, which turned out to be the difference in that game. I mean, big part of Angels history. One of the guys that I remember playing when you had MLB The Show in the 2000s, or MVP baseball for some of you guys that were in that realm. I mean, it's just truly heartbreaking to see that somebody die at such a young age. So,
yeah, very sad. Angels are going to be playing with a uniform patch honoring Anderson for the full year. So, again, our thoughts are with his family. It's always very sad when stuff like this happens. Only 53 years old. So with that, there's no easy transition. We can talk about that series, Angels Padres out there in Los Angeles.
I mean, it's a series with all the news this weekend. I mean, to today's episode, like we talked about the temperature checks, we're going to talk about the series with these teams, and we're going to lead them into how the divisions are. And so, I mean, right now, all the news came out of that series this weekend. You had the Padres and Angels this weekend, which, we can talk about William. I literally saw the news in my office on Friday, and I can just see William do the Birdman hand rub or the Patrick Starr hand rub when he was seeing the news that the Padres had ownership news. Nothing gets William going more than some good ownership news.
So it was announced on Friday, not official yet. I think it's going to get finalized early this week. But a group led by Chelsea Football Club co-owner Jose E. Feliciano and his wife Kwanza Jones bought the Padres for a record-shattering $3.9 billion. That surpasses the $2.42 billion that Steve Cohen paid for the Mets back in 2020. Feliciano is the co-founder and managing partner of Clear Lake Capital, a private equity firm based in Santa Monica. So more private equity in sports. Yay. In 2022, Clear Lake and the Dodgers part owner Todd Boehly led a consortium that purchased Chelsea Football Club, one of the biggest football clubs in all of England, for $5.24 billion. Feliciano beat out 3 other finalists for the Padres: Dan Friedkin, the Everton owner, Tom Gores, the Piston owner, and Joe Lacob, the Warriors owner. The Seidler family has owned the Padres since 2012 when they bought it for $800 million. So a nice profit for their family. And like I said, the deal is expected to be announced early this week. There are obviously some labor negotiation ramifications that will come of this sale, in the sense that, owners have been frustrated with franchise values not going up. For example, the Twins could not sell when the poll ads listed them on the market a couple years ago. Now they took them off the market. So the owners are going to push for a salary cap. Players will point to the Padres sale as an example of franchise values skyrocketing without a salary cap. But in the league's view, the Padres would be an outlier for several reasons. One being they play in a particularly wealthy part of the country, and they are San Diego's only team from the 4 major North American sports leagues. Luis, what are your thoughts? I mean, the Chelsea ties are concerning, I think, if you are tapped into soccer.
Very concerning. If you are a baseball guy that does not know anything about the Chelsea ownership. So not to bore you guys, but Chelsea during the Ukraine-Russia war, they were the owner, Roman Abramovich, was forced to sell because of his ties to Vladimir Putin. His assets were frozen by the UK. Essentially, here comes Todd Bowie, comes in, buys a team. The problem is Chelsea is one of the big 6 clubs in the Premier League and one of the bigger clubs in the world, and one of the bigger clubs in European soccer. They're known for winning titles. They spend money, not to the extent of the oil money clubs, but they're not afraid to spend. They've taken a new approach in the sense that they've brought in a bunch of young players and buying players very young and turning them for profit due to the new regulations that have come out with FIFA and salary constraints. Essentially what they do is they buy all these young players. For the MLB equivalent would be they would sign all these international prospect guys and then trade them, develop them and then trade them. And that's just like a slap in the face for, a team like Chelsea that's known to be in competition. Bloated rosters is one of the things that Chelsea has suffered, in the sense that at one point they had to use multiple locker rooms to house the whole team. Managers, they haven't been able to get the right coach in place, and essentially it's all driven from the top. So the manager really doesn't have much say. Essentially, they hired recently. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but they hired a guy from France from a sister club that they also own. So I don't know. It's concerning because if they do a model like this, I'm not saying that they're going to follow suit like that, because it's a multiple people owning. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. So what is it? Blue Sky or something like that? I can't remember the ownership group that bought RC Strasbourg, which is a team in France. And essentially they're like their minor league team for Chelsea. Like, it's a co-ownership thing. It's very weird, but Chelsea basically pulls a lot of players from Strasbourg. They just pulled the manager, like you said, Liam Rose Sr. From Strasbourg when they were struggling in the middle of the year. You had
completely unqualified guy. When there's that's like if you had AJ Hinch, Aaron Boone, all available with experience, Mark DeRosa, and then they just went and got some, no offense to Resinor, but it's just like they got some college baseball guy. Don't even tell off.
Kind of. Enzo Fernandez, their club captain, actively basically berated the club over January, and I think he's suspended by the club right now. He played. Okay. Long story short, Chelsea fans hate their ownership group. Absolutely hate them. I mean, Abramovich, a lot of controversy surrounding him, of course, but he at least took that club from nothing. They were kind of a middle bottom feeder before he bought them, and he made them Champions League, champions. They won the Champions League. They won multiple Premier Leagues. Now that this new ownership group has come in, they've been a total train wreck. The finances are a mess. They have way too many players. They're spending way too many players for unproven players. They'll splash the cash at them. And so basically, the Chelsea fans hate this ownership. So that's basically what the Padres are now being dealt. That's their hand.
But here's the thing. The other thing about the whole thing with Chelsea was that, when you look at that team, the bloated roster, they spend an exorbitant amount of money with these young players from not even from the country. They go internationally to Brazil, whatever. The best way I would like to think about it is this. Old Chelsea was run like the Yankees. Abramovich was like a Steinbrenner. He'd be like, oh, he would splash the cash and wouldn't, and like make sure that wouldn't happen. He would get the best manager and make it happen and go for it. Now they're being run like Tampa Bay Rays with money.
Yeah, they're trying to get like the analytically savvy type of players that are also very young, but are maybe a little bit unproven. That's the right comp. Now, I will say, maybe the one positive, if you're a Padres fan, is maybe Feliciano is a little bit more familiar with American sports. There's a lot of talk in like the soccer community of how much these European fans hate American ownership because Americans just don't know as much about soccer. Stereotypically, that's what people think about these owners as the Europeans do. Feliciano, he's an American guy. I think he's Puerto Rican, actually.
That was my next point I was going to say, which, we talked a lot about how bad Chelsea is, and I don't want to put him in a box without him having any ownership. But I think this is a very big positive thing. And they interviewed Manny Machado after Friday night's game that Jose Feliciano, he is from Puerto Rico. He was born in Puerto Rico, and so he came to the United States. I think he went to Princeton, if I recall reading his bio. Went to Princeton, joined this PE, and now he bought the Padres, which I think that is a positive pull because, number one, he is as we would say, a Latam guy, Latin America guy, who could, one, know how the players' backgrounds, two, know the players' backgrounds, and how do I best say this? Is he can sympathize and empathize with these players in the sense that he knows what it is. It's like a former player and manager with the players.
They relate to each other more.
Exactly. That was the word I was trying to say. They can relate. And again, I think it's very exciting, when you look at these ownership groups. Tom Gore's a pretty wealthy guy, Detroit Pistons owner. Joe Lacob, we know how the Warriors went into the luxury tax for God knows how many years in the Curry, Clay, Draymond, and Durant runs that they were spending over the tax to build their team. And, Everton, the other couple of years has been not great, but they've been spending money on a new stadium and whatnot and rebuilding the team. I don't think this is an exciting time for Padres fans. Seeing that your team is wanted by many different ownership groups and owners, and seeing that you were just bought by 3.9, it can only fuel you that, you'll have more to spend in a non-cap era right now.
Right. In theory, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen with the negotiations for the CBA over the winter, but I do think this will probably end up being a positive. Obviously, Peter Seidler spent a lot of money, was trying to get a World Series before he passed away. Unfortunately, that did not happen. And then ever since he passed away in, I think it was 2023 in the fall, the family really hasn't been spending as much money. They've been really trying to sell the team for the most part, and they finally get it done. So, maybe this is some type of competition. I mean, it's a legitimate PE firm, very rich group that you kind of talked about. Like, this is some competition for the Dodgers. I don't know what it means long term, but like it's better than what the Padres had over the last couple of years.
The only concerning things is that there's a relationship between him and Bowie, who is also a part owner of the Dodgers. That who knows? Maybe we start seeing some Strasburg Chelsea that Fernando Tatis for prospects. Say, hey, we're going to send down Roki Sasaki to San Diego so he can get tuned up. I know that would never happen, but just like that was one of my thoughts that I sent William via email this weekend. That I was like, hey, what if that happens?
It did feel a little bit weird, the ties with Boley to both the Dodgers and now the Padres and obviously Chelsea. So, yeah, that is very big news. The players are going to point to it as an example of rising prices for franchise valuations. I still think the owners are going to push heavy for a salary cap. They want to see these franchise values go up. But we also saw the Rays a couple years ago go for a pretty high number, a lot higher than they were expected to go for. So
fairly, and without a stadium, fairly recent too. My question, and I was pondering this, my buddy who's in finance, we were talking about this last night. We got on a call last night. And instead of going to the bar, we were actually doing wellness. We stayed in, and I woke up this morning and I ran 9.5 miles. That's what the new Gen. What is it? What are we? Gen Z now? What we do?
I guess we're technically Gen Z, I think.
Well, let's normalize that instead of going to the bars and take care of our wellness. But regardless, we were talking about how much in this day and age, say if the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Cubs, those are the big three that you think of with the most history would hit the open market for a sale. How much money would they bring in, like on the sale? The Yankees, because they come with Yes Network, you could probably look at close, easily 10 billion. But man, you could easily hit 15, maybe
10 billion. Oh man, I know Forbes has the franchise valuations. I don't know how they get to these numbers, but yeah, the Yankees own their stadium. They have payments to the city that they make every year on the stadium. I think it's like over 100 million that Steinbrenner always talks about. But I mean, it's the Yankees. They have Yes Network, like you said. They would go for an insane amount of money. The Red Sox have Nesson. The Cubs have Marquee. They all have their own TV, their own TV channel. I do think that Marquee had to make some layoffs over last year, so I think Marquee might be struggling a little bit. But the Cubs have the whole Wrigleyville area that kind of comes with the franchise as well. I think the Cubs would probably go for. I think they would go for more than the Padres. You are competing with the White Sox in a sense in the Chicago market. Boston, you're not really competing with anybody. The Yankees, I guess, are technically competing with the Mets, but it's always going to be a Yankees city. I don't know, 10 billion for the Yankees, maybe. I think it would probably Yankees most valuable, Red Sox second most valuable, Cubs third most valuable, but I wouldn't be stunned if the Cubs were actually valued at a higher mark than the Red Sox.
So right now, the Cubs were bought in 2009 by the Ricketts family for $845 million. So I would only imagine with the inflation and now how much it would be. But regardless, that is a crazy thought to have.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's keep it moving. Let's talk about.
Maybe we should just start a PE firm, William.
I think we should start. I know nothing about private equity, but
I think we should just. Yes, do we have any finance friends that want to join us and make the Locked In Baseball podcast private equity fund, so we can go buy some little like AAA, AA team?
But we're private equity, but we don't do layoffs.
Yeah, that's how we go broke.
Well, that's why everyone hates private equity. They just lay people off.
We should wealth management. We need to get into holdings company. Wealth management holding company. Hedge funds, hedge fund managers.
Hedge fund. That's what Cohen is. Private equity might do a lot of good stuff that doesn't get publicized as much to the common person. But I feel like the common person knows private equity. It's generally a bad optics. But we don't need to go into too much detail. Hopefully this works out for the Padres.
Let's get into the baseball this weekend.
Yeah.
William, what do we want? What division do we want to begin with talking about this weekend? Do we want to start in the AL or the NL?
Let's do the NL. I think we got to start with the NL East, man.
I mean, the NL East is officially one of the most entertaining divisions currently in baseball. It is a division that it's on its head. Currently, the NL standings are as follows, and we'll talk about the series after the standings. Currently, the NL standings are the Braves are at number 1. They have a 4.5 game lead over the Marlins. Nationals are tied with the Marlins as well, with the same record at 10-12. Phillies are 8-12, and then the Mets are 7-15. They are in last place. And let's just talk about the series this weekend. So right now, our Sunday night baseball game in progress. The Braves are playing the Phillies. The Braves are down right now 2-1, but they won Saturday 3-1, and they won Friday 9-0. The Nationals played the Giants this weekend. Giants won 2 out of 3. Sunday, the Nationals won 3-zip. And they lost a heartbreaker last night, losing 7-6 and 12, and against that they came back from in the 9th against the Giants. And then finally, the Mets were in Chicago, which I was surprised that you did not attend that game. The Cubs swept. As we said, it was going to be a B2A, belt to ass session on Friday, 12-4 by the Cubs. For Saturday, the Cubs won 4-2. And today, it was a weird game. I don't know. Did you watch today's game?
Yeah, I watched the end.
It was a game. I watched the whole game. It was one of those weird games because it kind of felt like, the Cubs are they're going to break it open. They always had men on base. They were always getting runners on, but they weren't getting the hits. They were getting out. And then finally they ended up coming back in the 9th, and then boom, they walked it off Craig Kimbrell. William, without further ado, you can do your Craig Kimbrell, Devin Williams takes are here.
Yeah, I got the Cubs highlights going on. The Devin Williams blown save. Cubs player scored from first, and then the walk-off sac fly from Nico Horner there to win the game in the bottom of the 10th. Like you said, the Cubs really struggled with runners in scoring position in this game. They finished. I had it up. 0 for 9. 0 for 9. Devin Williams blew the save. Like we said, the Mets have lost 11 straight, tying their longest losing streak since 2004. In that slide, they have been outscored 62-19, and they are averaging just 2.9 runs per game over the last 17 games in April. They were hitting 200 during the losing streak. The Mets have not lost 12 in a row since 2002, and their 7-15 ties for the worst record, the worst start in franchise history. And more bad stats for the Mets after their Saturday loss, which marked 10 straight. They were only 3 teams in the divisional era, which is since 1969, have made the postseason after having a double-digit losing streak. Only 3. Last year's Guardians were one of them. So, look, the Mets are tied for the worst record in all of baseball right now at 7-15. They're tied with the Royals, actually, for dead last in all of baseball. Right now, the Braves and Phillies are still playing, but the Mets are 7.5 back in the division. I think it's fair to say the Mets' hopes for the division are over. I'm not ready to give up on them yet for a wild card spot, for a playoff spot. If you think about it,
okay,
there's only 140. There's like 140 plus games left, right, for the Mets. They're 7-15. It's a nightmare start. It's about as bad as it possibly could be to start the season. But it's 6 games to get a wild card spot with over 140 games left. I can't give up on them yet. Juan Soto being injured with the calf, it should not have as big of an impact as it has on their lineup, but it has. The rotation is a concern. I don't think they have an ace. Maybe it's McLean, but no one stepped up. The pen, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, is scary in a bad way. But we know that Steve Cohen has a move up his sleeve. They have a solid farm system. He could go out and make a move for some type of reliever. Look, it's a nightmare start. I'm trying to find positives for this team, and it's hard. But you can't give up on a team starting 7-15 when they're only 6 games back in a wild card with over 140 games to go. It's too early, in my opinion.
For me, at this point, I think the Braves have been the talk of the division, and with how the Braves have played, I think I'm buying stock high, and I want to keep my Mets stock, and I'm trying to keep the Mets stock into this division. But the way the Braves are playing right now, and the way that they're scoring runs, the way they're pitching, they're doing it in all 3 facets of the game: the bullpen, the pitching, the hitting. For me, the Braves, it's just hard to bet against the Braves. It really is. With all the, like we talked about them in the last pod. Right now, they're down 2-1, but again, it's early. Everything's going right for that team. Like you said, Matt Olson's hitting the ball well. Austin Riley's heating up. It's just a matter of time that Acuna starts playing up to that all-star level form, and they just turn the corner. In regards to the Mets, again, I'm not trying to sell that stock because I just feel there's so many pieces that I feel like they can come back and do it. And again, if we're here in July and they're still like this, I don't know if Stearns survives this, David Stearns. And that's the problem. That's the big issue. I just think that a lot of these moves that they've done have backfired because then Mets fans are like, oh, Marcus Semien, Bo Bichette, those guys are all haven't been playing up to par. And you look at what their replacements are, like who they replaced is Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo's having a great year down in Texas. Jeff McNeil playing well in Sacramento. And then Pete Alonso hasn't hit that many homers, but Pete Alonso has so much goodwill with that fan base that Pete Alonso can hit 220 home runs, and I feel like the whole fan base would be okay. Like they wouldn't care.
Yeah. It's just a brutal start, and they're 23rd in batting average, 29th in OPS, 26th in home runs. They need Soto back desperately. We knew it was going to be there was going to be some type of recalibration period, I think, with their lineup and just all of the new faces that they've added. It just hasn't worked out so far. Stearns backed Mendoza on Friday. I don't know if Cohen's going to back Stearns much longer.
Whenever there's a vote of confidence at any workplace, I just don't feel good about that. If you're having to come out and do a vote of confidence, it's just never good. But a team that I'm more concerned about in the Mets in this division is the Philadelphia Phillies. Thus far, the Philadelphia Phillies have not been playing good baseball. The Philadelphia Phillies have lost four consecutive series thus far. It's just not good for Philadelphia. We talked about them regressing, and they've regressed mightily. The only series wins that they have this year are against the Rockies and the Nationals, the two of the worst teams in baseball right now. So it's not that great of a list to be on. Philadelphia right now is sixth worst in batting average, 224. Right now, their on base percentage is at 303, which ranks bottom of the pack in the bottom 10. They're just not good. Their offense is just not hitting the ball. A lot of home run or bust on that team. And again, when it's home run or bust, that's not a good thing. Right now, their offense, batting, and base running combined average is bottom 10. Again, ranked eighth worst at negative 10.4. It's just not a good team right now. Right now, sixth worst in WAR at 0.9. And I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned about Philly. They're only 8-12, though. Again, I think it's too early to give up on them. Zach Wheeler supposedly coming back before the end of the month. He's been rehabbing in the minor leagues. Andrew Painter has looked good to start the season. They still have Christopher Sanchez. Jesus Luzardo is a bit of an up and down type of pitcher. He had that blow up start this week. Duran hit the injured list with a strained oblique. It seems like it's not going to be a big deal. They're kind of downplaying that one, but I always kind of get nervous with pitchers and obliques. Those tend to linger longer than you would like. I think of Luis Heel missing like half of the season last year and then returning and not being the same. Could be a totally different thing for Duran. But through the first 20 games, yeah, I'm worried about the Phillies. We'll see what happens with them in the Sunday night baseball game. Any final thoughts on the Phillies? I do have some Braves thoughts too.
Phillies, I'm just concerned. It's just the pitching's been holding up, but again, their hitting is just not. It's not doing the job right now, and I'm very concerned. Again, you've only won series against the Nationals and the Rockies, and you've played teams like Texas, San Francisco, Chicago, Arizona, teams that one you expect to beat, or two that are going to be there at the end, and you're not competing well. Like the Cubs belt the ass to you on Tuesday and Wednesday this week. So
don't they? They play the Cubs again in Philly, 4-game set this week. Sanchez versus Cabrera on Thursday should be a good one. With the Braves are, I think the Braves could run away with this division. They're only 4.5 up right now, but that's over the Marlins and Nationals. We don't think either of those teams are going to compete for the division. The Phillies are 5.5 back. The Mets are 7.5 back. Right now, Fangraphs gives the Braves an 88% chance of making the playoffs and a 67% chance of winning the division. The Braves have not lost a series this year. The bullpen is really good. 8-9, you got Robert Suarez and Raciel Iglesias. If one of those guys is unavailable, the other can take over the ninth inning that night. Robert Suarez has plenty of experience closing out games. Austin Riley had the 2 home run game on Friday. And, you got guys producing like Dom Smith is off to an incredible start. We've talked about Mauricio Dubon a lot. He's been good. Harris homered on Friday, homered again on Sunday Night Baseball. Chris Sale is, one of the better pitchers in the league. Obviously won the Cy Young a couple years ago. Like the question mark with this team again, heading into the year was just the rotation depth. So far, the rotation has been holding up. They have the best ERA among starting pitchers in all of baseball. The bullpen is second in the ERA right now. They're playing good defense. The offense, all of their numbers are, in the top 10 in terms of, team stats across the league. Austin Riley, maybe he's getting going. Yastrzemski hasn't been getting going, but I don't know, man. This lineup is scary. The pitching I still think the starting pitching is going to be a question mark over the course of the season, and that might be the reason that they don't run away with this thing. But this lineup could carry them to a division title. The Phillies and the Mets, both of those teams have shown extreme weakness so far in the first month or so of the season. But yeah, if you're a Braves fan, you got to feel pretty good about this team.
I mean, with the Braves, I feel like every move they made this offseason has been a home run. I mean, the Mauricio Dubon move, Yastrzemski's doing, like you said, Dom Smith, Suarez. The one thing that I will say is that we talk about a lot, and we talked about this a bit. I think it was off pod. we were asking ourselves, like, man, there's just not that one team at the start that you just look at that's just like, man, like they're like, I could see them at the end. After watching a little bit of Atlanta after that Arizona series and watching them play, I think they're a team. Like, I look at them, I'm like, yeah, that looks like a World Series team. And right now they rank number 1 in all of Major League Baseball in run differential, plus 55. The closest team is the Dodgers at plus 48. But again, like I said, I think that's they're playing like what a World Series team would look like. And I think they're regressing. They're not regressing, but they're coming back to what we thought they would be last year. And it was just scheduling that they had the San Diego and LA at the start, that it was just 0 for 7. It was just a murderer's row to start the year.
And injuries, and, Albies and Riley weren't good. They feel like a team that could challenge the Dodgers in the National League. The pitching still isn't there. They're going to have to do something at the deadline to get another pitcher. Maybe Sandy.
We've always talked about their lineup being like, we've had these conversations in prior pods like years ago about the Dodgers lineup versus the Braves lineup, about which one is scarier.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
we know the Dodgers, yes, but again, it's not something that when you look at both teams, it's not like they're off by a large margin.
It's not like the Dodgers going up against the Brewers in the CS last year. Correct. No offense to them, but it would be a better matchup.
It would be a better matchup than what Philadelphia gave them too.
Yeah.
So what's up?
What division do you want to go to next?
Let's just go to the West. I mean, the West has been very interesting. The NL West. The Dodgers had a blow up series this weekend, losing 2 out of 3 to the Rockies. Which, I mean, the Rockies, congratulations. This is your World Series. I don't think you're ever going to have a good of a weekend that you're going to have this weekend. The Dodgers won 7-1 in the crazy snow game, but then the Rockies won 4-3 on Saturday, and today 9-6. Good series from the Rockies, but again, the Rockies are the Rockies.
Last year, the Dodgers went 11-2 against Colorado. This is back-to-back wins over the Dodgers for the first time since 2022. And they play all the time because they're in the same division. This is an impressive series win for the Rockies. We got to give them some credit.
Oh, yeah, congratulations. But, I was going to give them credit. I mean, this Rockies team is more competitive than what they were last year. That's the credit. But they're still the Rockies until further notice.
I think they're still the Rockies, but they're tied with the Giants right now. 9-13 record.
Well, we were going to go talk about the Giants now. Giants won 2 out of 3 against Washington this weekend. And so
I have no thoughts from that series.
Oh, well, I mean, we've seen the Giants play. I think the Giants is a train wreck waiting to happen right now in San Francisco with the Vitello and everything. Nobody, that team is just like a pressure cooker that, by mid-June, we'll hear something leak from somebody. I can just feel it. I just look at how the players are acting. You look at Devers getting mad. Their season's not going well. They're stuck in the middle of the pack of that division. They're at the last place of the division. They're 3-7 at home. They're just a middle of the pack team. I can just see something just completely blown up in June.
Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time probably before stuff starts leaking out of that Giants locker room about Vitello and how they don't like him. Right now, we were wondering how it was going to start this season, right? How, it could go really well or it could go really bad. Right now, it's trending toward going really poorly. It's still, 22 games into the season. They still got a long way to go, but it's not where you want to be right now if you're a Giants fan. I think they are clearly worse than both the Padres and Diamondbacks, and obviously the Dodgers. I think they're the 4th best team in this division. And look, the Rockies have been pesky to start the season. They have series wins over over the Blue Jays and now over the Dodgers. They have literally won series over the 2 World Series teams from last year. Then again, everybody's beating the Blue Jays to start the season. But nonetheless, if the Rockies finish over the Giants in that division this year, I think the Vitello experiment is done.
I just think the Vitello experiment, I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't look good. Body language is, William, you're a big body language guy. William is body language 101. It just doesn't look good. And the fact that you've had to clarify press conferences after the fact.
The press stuff, you see that video of him cursing out the ball boy, just little stuff like that. It's the little things add up. The little things add up.
It's just a different thing in college. The college versus the pro game, it's different. But again, also Arizona. I think Arizona is a sleeping giant in this division. They won 2 out of 3 against Toronto, 6-3 on Friday, 6-2 on Saturday. Today they lost 10-4. Ryan Nelson was not great. I mean, Arizona is one of those teams, man. Once they get fully healthy and they get Corbin Burns back, they could be a team that we can be underseeded in the playoffs as a wild card and could make a run like they did, like they did a couple of years back. I feel like Arizona is just a really nice team.
Jeff Hoffman, another blown save on Saturday. That was against Corbin Carroll. The 8th inning grand slam was the difference in that one, 6-2 victory. The Jays did have a nice win today. They scored 8 in the first off Ryan Nelson. But I agree. I think the Diamondbacks are going to be a tough out this year. Unfortunately, Corbin Carroll left the game in the 5th inning today, Sunday, because of lower back tightness. But yeah, Fangraphs gives them a 44% chance of making the playoffs. They give the Padres a 46% chance of making the playoffs. I mean, you got guys like Ildemaro Vargas off the hot starts. Nolan Arenado's been hitting the baseball. Luis Gurriel Jr. is back from the ACL injury. Adrian Del Castillo has been pretty solid for them. They're a good team. They got production from guys that you really haven't heard of.
I'll bet money. I bet money. I feel with the records right now. I know right now we see the Padres are at 15-7. They're 2 games ahead of the Diamondbacks. I am more comfortable with the Diamondbacks than I am with the Padres.
I think there's more certainty in the starting rotation than what you got going on in San Diego. Nick Pivetta injured, out for a while.
Talking about last pod, so.
Yeah, Soroka, Gallen, Nelson, Kelly, Erod. Like, it's not world beater, but you do feel better about them than the Padres. And you mentioned Corbin Burns. Hopefully he comes back. I don't know, All-Star break-ish. Haven't really heard the latest on him. Yeah, I don't know. It is a question of if like these other guys outside of Carroll and Marte and Perdomo, which Marte and Perdomo really haven't been that great. But if the other guys in their lineup can keep it up.
The thing with the Padres is again, they got the guys like Ramon Laureano who's playing great. It's like they always have guys like breakout, like Nick Castellanos, Gavin Sheets, like those other guys usually play well. I'm just not comfortable with them at all. So I would take Arizona over San Diego.
I think I would take San Diego over Arizona because of the pen and because of the lineup. I think I like the Padres lineup right now better than the Diamondbacks lineup. And look, we got to raise the question. Mason Miller, could Mason Miller become the first reliever to win the Cy Young Award since Eric Gagne did it in 2003? I think this is a real conversation now. And when you compare the numbers, Eric Gagne in 2003, he pitched 77 games. He led the league in saves with 55. He had 137 strikeouts and 82.1 innings pitched and a 1.20 ERA. Only 11 earned runs on the season, a 337 ERA plus. You compare that to Miller. He's faced 38 hitters this season across 11.1 innings pitched. Only 4 have reached base, 2 via the walk and 2 via singles. He struck out 27 of the 38 hitters he's faced so far this season, which is a 71.1% rate. That strikeout rate is the highest by any pitcher in his first 11 appearances of a season since at least 1900. The data doesn't even go back far enough to quantify just how good Mason Miller's been. He has 8 saves on the season. He's leading all of Major League Baseball in saves. And I pose a question to you. Can he win the Cy Young this season?
Could he? 100%. It's just a matter of what happens with the big guys like Yamamoto, Skeens, and whatnot. I just feel like they've been off to slower starts to start the year. But again, I just feel like there's more certainty in those guys coming every 5 days, where Miller, we don't know how dependent he comes out. His availability is all influx depending on, are they up, are they down? And what's even crazier is that they thought about moving him to the rotation that in the spring training, which is ridiculous. I mean, we saw him live. The fastball is crazy fast, and his other stuff is just great that he has coming off of it. So could he? 100%. Will he? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he will. I think he should be in the running. I think he should get votes. If he keeps this up, like if he is this good all season, he kind of has to win. Like the goal of being a pitcher is to get guys out. And that is quite literally all he has been doing so far this season, and he's essentially striking all of 3 out of every 4 hitters he's striking out, which is just absurd. I mean, it is one of the most dominant runs I can remember. I mean, he's gone 32 and 2/3 innings without allowing a run, which he's probably going to, that's dating back to last August. He's probably going to break the Padres record. He's one shy of Claude Meredith's record from 2006. It's an interesting conversation. I would probably still think like if Skeens goes 200 innings or something like that and has a ERA in the 2s, that blow up start in the first game of the year against the Mets might hurt him a little bit, but I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, Miller is just truly incredible. It's hard to put words to it.
And if the Pirates make the playoffs, which is looking increasingly likely by every single podcast, which is a perfect segue, let's talk about the Central. The Central has the most talking points right now. I mean, you're high on the Reds. They're in first place, 14-8. Cardinals, I wanted to highlight the Cardinals tonight. They're 13-8. Pirates are 13-9. Cubs are 12-9, and the Brewers are 12-9. Easily, probably the funnest division to watch in baseball right now. All 5 teams are very competitive. There's not clearly one bad team because, as you can see, we thought the Cardinals were going to be that team, but the Cardinals just swept Houston this weekend. And I think we need to have conversations about Houston when we get to the West. They sweep Houston. They won a series against the Guardians. Tough series against the Red Sox, but they were in those games. They beat the Nationals. They had a good series. They lost the Tigers, but I mean, man, the Cardinals are being very competitive. I mean, they're having a breakout year from Jordan Walker. All the guys are hitting the ball. You expect this team to regress, but it's the opposite. They're right in the thick of things.
Yeah, the 13-8 Fangraphs only gives them a 15% chance of making the playoffs, which is by far the worst in this division. The Reds have a 24% chance, and they're second worst, fourth, I guess, overall in the division. I'm still selling Cardinal stock. I think they're going to cool off. I know it's been a great start, but it's still very early. I don't believe in this team. I'm sorry.
Wow. There's a lot of things to like. I don't know. They got Riley O'Brien pitching the ball well. They got good prospects. There's a lot to like about this team. And then you got, the Pirates. You got the Ryan O'Hearn. You got Marcell Ozuna hit a big homer this weekend. And let's just talk about that series. I mean, Pirates won 2 out of 3 this weekend against the Rays, in which the Rays needed voodoo magic on Saturday just to get Paul Skeens not to pitch. They needed a 2-hour rain delay for him just to sit down and not come back. And they won 8-7, but they won Friday 5-1 and 6-3. They won on Sunday. Mitch Keller's pitching great. He pitched today 7 strong, 2 earned, 5 strikeouts. Bubba Chandler pitched 6 on Friday, 6 strong, 1 earned, and 3 strikeouts. I mean, look, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this division because I think all the teams are just so competitive. And I will be tuning into games more often than not.
I'm watching like almost every Pirates game. Their City Connects on Friday. They debuted them. Absolutely. Chef's kiss. Great uniforms. Fangraphs gives the Pirates this is crazy. It's April 19th as we record this. Fangraphs gives the Pirates a 60% chance of making the playoffs in the National League right now.
Yeah, they're a good team. And then, the Brewers, the Brewers did what they had to do this weekend, beating Miami, winning 2 out of 3. They won Friday 7-5, 5-2 on Saturday. And then they lost today 5-3. I mean, look, man, I'm gonna go out and say it. The NL Central is the best division in baseball right now to watch.
Which I never thought we'd say that in a million years, but I kind of agree.
They have all the young talent. They have good pitching, and the hitting is solid. And you're seeing the Cubs. The Cubs are slowly starting to heat up with the bats. And we saw it this weekend in Philadelphia, and we saw it this weekend against the Mets. I know it got really cold and the bats chilled down, but I want to see what the Cubs do on a Friday in the middle of June on a 120 start. I think it's going to be fireworks.
Yeah, their bats are starting to get hot. And you think about, and we've said this before, but like think about all the young talent in that division. The Brewers have Mizorowski and Churio. The Cubs have PCA, who hasn't been great, but they have all these kind of a plethora of talent. The Cubs are, in terms of talent, maybe on paper, the Cubs are probably the most talented team in this division. The Pirates, Connor Griffin, Paul Skeens. The Cardinals, Jordan Walker, JJ Weatherholt, Riley O'Brien, who's not young, but he's off to a hot start. And then the Reds, I mean, Sal Stewart, Ellie De La Cruz, Hunter Green, Chase Burns, all those guys. Like, this is a very fun division to watch. I do feel like it gets a little bit overlooked. Every team right now in this division is at least 3 games over 500. It's a very competitive division.
I wonder how they would fare in other divisions. I feel like all these teams would finish top 2 in another division.
In the what? Like in the National League?
Yeah, I think they would finish top 2 in the NL East. All those teams, maybe not the Cardinals in the
maybe
East,
not the Cardinals. Yeah,
but in the West, they would probably win. All these teams would win the West right now.
Win the National League West.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to say AL West.
Yeah. I don't feel good about that in AL West.
No, but it's just such a good division, man. I mean, so much young talent. And let's. If you had to say on April 19th, which team do you feel least confident about? And don't give me the chicken answer with the
Cardinals. It's Cardinals.
Well, you're giving me the chicken answer. That's the PR basic answer.
I'm out on the Cardinals. I'm.
I know, but we everybody knows that you're out on the Cardinals.
Out of the other 4?
Yes. You're such a Cardinals hater. I'm sorry.
I don't think they're good. Ooh, that's tough. Probably still the Reds because the lineup is probably the weakest.
And you just bought stock in the Reds last week.
I'm still buying. Like, I still am high on the Reds as making the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win the division. I feel better about the Cubs, the Brewers, and even the Pirates. Like, if I had to make a pick to win this division right now, I don't know. It's probably Cubs 1, 2 Pirates, 3 Brewers.
You know who I feel the least confident about?
Who?
It's the Brewers. I don't know. Just the injuries right now with Yelich and Churio. I mean, the Cubs have a good bill of health right now. Pirates also have a good bill of health, and the Reds as well. The only guy the Reds really have down is Hunter Green, but I mean,
they're doing fine without him. They have pitching depth.
Yeah. And we just talked about, I'll go out and say it, the division, the worst division in baseball right now is the AL West, and I'm very disappointed in the AL West between the teams that we have in the West, which is the Mariners, the Mariners, the Rangers, the Athletics, Angels, and Astros. This division is a whole pile of garbage, to be frankly honest. It is literally a hodgepodge of a mess. It is a hot mess, that we would say, down south. The Rangers are in first place at 11-11. A's are 11-11. I mean, it's seeming like this is the philosophers or some horoscope's dream with 2 teams at 11-11. Angels are 11-12. 10-13 Mariners and Astros at 8-15. The one team I am completely out on is the Houston Astros right now. It does not look good. Again, with the injuries and everything going on, they just got swept by the Cardinals. I mean, Yordan Alvarez is hitting bombs, but that does not matter because they are not winning series. They're not playing good ball. They're 8-15. I've read a lot of things going around that maybe it's time to move on from management, and it may be time for a rebuild in Houston. But again, Houston might be getting coupled up into that bad baseball teams, which we put the Nationals, the Rockies, the White Sox, that cluster of teams.
Yeah, like, I don't like to declare teams dead in mid-April, but if there was one team that I just think is dead to rights right now, it's probably the Houston Astros. And look, I know they have Yordan Alvarez, who has 10 home runs, leading all of Major League Baseball. He looks like he could be the guy in the American League to push Aaron Judge for the MVP award this year. But when you look at everything else, who's hitting on that team? Christian Walker's been off to a decent start, but outside of that, like, it's really the pitching. It's the pitching that makes me nervous about the Astros. They have so many guys on the injured list. Hunter Brown, Christian Javier. Dana Brown just came out and said that they don't expect those guys to come back until late May, early June. Tatsuya Imai came over from Japan and struggled in his first few starts. Now he's on the injured list with arm fatigue. That's never a good sign. Josh Hader, still on the injured list with biceps tendonitis. He's rehabbing right now, but don't know when we'll see him back. I don't think the Astros are a good baseball team. And Yordan is one of the scariest hitters in all of baseball. But now you got Jeremy Pena. He's been on the injured list with that hamstring injury since early April. It just nothing about this team scares me outside of Yordan Alvarez. Hunter Brown healthy, but right now he's not healthy.
Do you want to hear their schedule coming up?
Yeah,
and it kind of sinks them. I think they're the team that are on life support this week. If they don't win this series this week against the Guardians, they might be dead. They got the Guardians coming to town, then the Yankees come to town next weekend, which, lo and behold, we just know how Yankee baseball works. The Yankees are going to come to town, and then the Astros pitching issues will magically get resolved, and they'll win 2 out of 3 games, or they'll sweep them, and Yordan will hit 3 nukes off the Minute Maid at Daikin Park. But no, they got Cleveland, New York, Baltimore coming next week, Boston, and then LA, and then Cincinnati.
Which LA?
Dodgers. Oof. That is a stretch.
They're dead last in rotation ERA, 29th in bullpen ERA. They don't play good defense. It's a bad division. They're only 3.5 back. Like, that is, of course, the saving grace, and they can still claw their way back. But right now, Fangraphs gives them a 5% chance of winning the division and a 16% chance of making the playoffs. That is the second lowest in the division behind the Angels. Right now, still, Fangraphs gives the Mariners a 51% chance of winning the division, despite them being they're only a game and a half back, but they're 3 games under 500 right now. I don't know. Houston is just not good right now. It's still early, but man, rough start.
I mean, what saves Seattle right now is the pitching. The pitching's been pretty solid. I mean, Gilbert, Kirby, and Wu has been pitching great. And they had a good weekend this weekend. They beat the Rangers 2 out of 3. Rangers got Friday a 5-0 victory, but then Saturday they won 7-3, and then Sunday the Mariners won 5-2. And that's a team that I feel like will be fine. And you know what I think the Mariners need? I think the Mariners need to call up Emerson.
I was thinking that this week.
They need like a jolt in there. They need something fresh to like kickstart everybody. Again, could be one of those things that the bats just need to heat up, but they need that like jolt of energy in that clubhouse again. Because when you look at it, such a bad division, nobody's running away with it. I mean, the A's had a gift-wrapped opportunity this weekend for how Texas played this week. We know what Texas is. Texas is an 81 team, in my opinion. Again, Jacob deGrom pitched Friday 4, and he's already battled injuries so far this season. A's had the White Sox, and they were only able to win 1 out of 3. And this is the Chicago White Sox. It's like the White Sox became the A's this weekend and started hitting all the homers, and they started to mash and slug. White Sox won Friday night 9-2, and then Murakami hit the nuke over the center field wall, which was crazy. And then today they won 7-4, which he homered. And again, Murakami has homered in 3 straight games, and his 8 home runs in 22 games are the most by any Japanese-born player, which is crazy because we were told this guy couldn't hit a high 90s fastball, and he's out here hitting nukes all over in MLB parks. Saturday, the A's won 7-6, but again, if the A's had some bit of pitching, and we're not saying that much pitching, if they had some bit of pitching, they could be having a lead in this division.
If they had like Ryan Weathers, Will Warren, if they had those 2 guys in their rotation, I'd feel a lot better about them.
Not even. If they just had like maybe even Craig Kimbrell, like something at this point.
Craig Kimbrell in the rotation?
If their bullpen was Craig Kimbrell, Mark Leiter Jr., Luke Weaver, and Devin Williams, like I feel like that would be better than whatever they have there right now. No disrespect.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Fangraphs gives them a 28% chance of making the playoffs. Right now, Seattle's got the best odds, followed by Texas, then the A's, and then Angels and Astros are bottom dwellers. Let's move to the Central.
How do you feel about, before we move on to Central, how do you feel about Texas?
Pretty meh.
Yeah.
Like they feel like a 500 team right now. And they are a 500 team. Like Evaldi hasn't been great. DeGrom, like you said, has been injured. Gordon have a good start today. Nimmo's been good. But who do you fear in that lineup outside of like him and Seager right now?
Well, they got the Vandy pitching staff with Rocker and Leiter.
Yeah,
you know
they do. They just feel like a 80-something win team. Like they're not going to compete for the pennant or anything this year, I don't think.
Let's take the Central. I feel like William. I know when you saw the comments yesterday in the Royals game with Matt Qatar, you were like rubbing your hands when you were writing the document again, talking about the Kansas City Royals and this division. I mean, the Central right now, Guardians are in first place, 13-10. Tigers are in second at 12-10. Twins are 11-11, 8-14 from the White Sox, and the Royals are 7-15. William, what do you think? How are we feeling about these teams?
I mean, the Royals got shut down by Will Warren, 11 strikeouts on Saturday, which I'm playing right now on YouTube. I think the Royals might just not be a good team. They can't hit. I know it's early. And they got some guys that maybe will turn it on. Like Jensen's been good. Bobby Witt, the longest homerless streak he's had in his career, has not hit a home run so far this season. I don't know how to feel about the Royals, though. They kind of make me nervous with the way they started the season. I've been on it in preseason. I feel like the Tigers are just going to run away with this division. Nice series win for them this weekend in Boston. The Guardians, again, like the Guardians are doing guards ball things. You look at their run control right now, it's 0. They're flat. They have scored 95 and allowed 95. They're a half a game up of the Tigers right now. I just don't think they can do that voodoo magic guards ball, negative run differential, and win the division again this season. Tigers are kind of the class of this division.
I mean, Scooble's pitching well. Framber's pitching well. Tigers played Boston this week again. Guards had a series this weekend, and they had a really nice series in Baltimore in which they won 3 out of 4. Again, I think the biggest thing with the Guards is the pitching staff. We need to give credit to Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams is evolving into a true ace that nobody's talking about. Thus far, Gavin Williams is right now 3-1 with a 2.12 ERA and 40 strikeouts. Those are some solid numbers for the first to start the year. Again, I think that's one of the biggest things. I feel like if the Guards had a little bit more bats in the lineup, they could be a better contender. But again, I feel like all these Central teams are very flawed. I think the Tigers are flawed in the sense where you get through 1 and 2, who's pitching game 3 or who's your third starter? Can you trust Casey Mize? Do you have enough bats in the lineup? With the Guards is your pitching going to actually show up? And do you have enough bats in the lineup to get you through? Like, do you have guys that are going to be playing good ball and not just having hot streaks like Daniel Schneemann right now, who, again, he right now is hitting the ball like crazy. He had a extra base hit streak. He's hitting 302, 2 homers, 11 RBIs. He's been on a tear right now. Again, Royals, it's always not good when you have the manager and your pseudo captain, Salvador Perez, having a mix up in the sense that, we're going to give Salvador Perez the day off yesterday to have a mental break. And then Salvador Perez was like, I don't need a mental break. And then they resolved it. And that was taken to media. That's never a good sign.
Yeah, that's never a good sign. I mean, he is the captain. He wears the C on his chest. And, I mean, like you look at the Guardians, Gavin Williams, Joey Cantillo, Parker Messick, that's a really good top 3 of the rotation. You could argue, I know the Tigers have Scooble and Framber, but the Guardians have that third guy that the Tigers maybe don't or hasn't established himself yet. Casey Mize had a good start this weekend against Boston on Saturday night. They won that series 2-1. But I still think it's going to be the Tigers in the Central. And then, the White Sox have been off to a good start. We mentioned Murakami, who's hitting the cover off the ball. They're 8-14, which is not bad for White Sox standards. Probably not the best for any other team that, is looking to, push for a playoff spot. And the White Sox aren't going to do that this year. White Sox as a team, they're hitting 210, which is surprisingly not the worst in baseball. The worst batting average as a team so far this season is the Reds hitting 202, which a lot of that is driven down by Ke'Bryan Hayes, who's been really poor this season.
Does Ke'Bryan Hayes have an RBI yet?
I don't think so.
He has 3 hits, no RBIs, no homers.
3 hits and how many at-bats?
I didn't see that right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's at 52 at-bats. So, yeah, I mean,
That's weird.
Perfect transition. Can you imagine if Key Brian Hayes was on the Yankees right now and he was doing this?
Wouldn't be much better than Ryan McMahon. I mean, it'd be worse. It'd somehow be worse.
It somehow be worse. But again, perfect segue into the AL East. Yankees had that really good series against the Royals this weekend, kind of like a get-right series. I'm officially ready to go. Can we start the Cam Schlittler and the Ben Rice MVP and Cy Young trains? Like, please tell me somebody pitching better in the AL than Cam Schlittler. Can you name anybody better?
Off the top of my head, better?
Thus far.
Better, maybe not, no.
Nobody does it better than Cam Schlittler right now. Cam Schlittler should be the Cy Young right now. Please, Ben Rice, MVP?
Ben Rice, Aaron Judge, MVP? I mean, Chase against each other?
That'd be incredible. I mean, the thing about this weekend is for the Yankees is that Aaron Judge is finally seeing the ball. It's heating up and he's hitting the ball well. Again, the game today was over by the fourth inning. Like, we were on the beach. We were just hanging out. Like, it was such a very, very relaxing game comparative to the Angels series. And when you look at the rest of the division, the Orioles had a tough weekend against the Guardians in which Parker Messick shut them down on Thursday, and then Gavin Williams shut them down on Saturday, which it was just a tough weekend for them. And then today, Trevor Rogers was not great at all. So that's a big sign. Is like, who is your number one pitcher in Baltimore? Do they even have a number one pitcher? Is Trevor Rogers just better suited to a number two role? Is my thing. Could be.
Yeah.
And then the Red Sox had that tough series against the Tigers, in which the Friday night game was a terrible one-run game that went into the 10th. 1-0 game, exactly. Pinch hit walkout from Yoshida, and then the Tigers came in with Skubal and Framber and just shut it down. Again, what is Boston going to look like later on the season remains to be seen.
Boston's got to start hitting, and Roman's got to get going. With the Yankees, yeah, I mean, Ben Rice, look, he's not a platoon bat. He crushes lefties and righties. He's one of the best hitters, if not the best hitter, statistically right now in all of baseball. Him and Aaron Judge, we could be looking at like a back-to-back. You know, those guys are fighting for the MVP award in the American League this year, alongside maybe Yordan Alvarez. Judge and Rice are just the third Yankees tandem to belt eight or more home runs each through the team's first 22 games, joining Yogi Berra and Mickey Mantle, and then Anthony Rizzo and Aaron Judge in 2022. Judge has a bunch of home runs in the first inning. It was his fifth home run in the first inning this season when he hit one on Sunday. He has 90 first inning home runs, which is tied for third most in franchise history behind Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle. So this is a fun get-right series for the Yankees. Pretty much everybody hit except Jazz Chisholm. Ryan McMahon had the huge home run on Friday. The go-ahead 2-run blast in the 8th, and then Bednar picked up the save. And Will Warren was incredible. 7 innings, 2 earned runs, no walks, and 11 strikeouts on Saturday. And Ryan Weathers was great on Sunday. 7 1/3, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. Finally got run support.
That was my point. Jays continue to struggle with the injuries. Again, we talked about the Jeff Hoffman thing earlier. Varsho was removed with knee discomfort. It's just tough for the Jays right now. And the Rays, again, we just know what the Rays are going to be very pesky. So, William, as we look at the East, how are we feeling? Is it's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like evening out how the way we think it's going to even out.
I don't want to give up on the Jays yet. It's still way too early to do that. They have so many injuries and everything, and they're only a certain amount of games back in like the wild card in the division. So I'm not out on the Jays yet. You know, the Yankees, they look great when they're scoring these runs, of course, but you got to learn, or they got to know how to win the games where maybe you score only 3 or 4 runs. And look, the reason the Yankees look so good, part of it was because they're playing the Royals, and part of it was because their starting pitching was so good this weekend. They didn't have to use the bullpen, which is still the clear weakness of this team. And if the Yankees are playing close games against division opponents and it comes down to a bullpen battle, I feel better about a lot of other teams than I do the Yankees bullpen. So that is still a concern. They're not going to run away with this division. They're probably the best offense in this division again this season, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to run away with the thing. Now, the starting rotation has been a huge strength too, and it's an interesting conversation of what happens when Cole and Rodon come back, what happens with Weathers and Warren. I think one of them will move to the bullpen, and you could see a world in which Ryan Weathers is a pretty good bullpen arm for the Yankees. And then when you think about the playoffs, if they make it, you got Cole, Fried, Rodon, and Schlittler. That's, in whatever order you want to do it, that's going to be your 4. And then you got Will Warren and Ryan Weathers probably out of the bullpen, which is nice and should strengthen the bullpen much more than it is right now.
You said it best. I have no other things to say. I think next pod we'll be chatting about who's your 5 for the rest of the season for the Yankees. Red Sox, again, what did I tell you guys? Better days are ahead. Tomorrow is a marathon day, correct, for Boston? Boston Marathon is tomorrow.
And they don't have a game? Or do they play Detroit again?
They play Detroit tomorrow morning at 11, yes.
Okay.
It's in Boston, so it's Patriots Day. That's how I thought it would be. Like, they always play in the morning.
Yeah, they always play in the morning, marathon, and then the Yankees come to town starting on Tuesday, which is a huge series.
And Cam Schlittler will be pitching.
Yes, he is. That'll be very, very fascinating. He pitches on Thursday. Pitches on Thursday.
Yeah, good. So there's no interference with the Bruins game. He can watch his Bruins games and be no. The Knicks don't. I don't think the Knicks play either. So we're good.
What's the Yankee posse for the Knicks games this postseason?
It was just Schlittler.
Saw that. No more Rizzo to go to the games.
Well, no Judge goes. Stanton Judge go. Volpe goes. Fernando Cruz. I don't know.
Devin Williams was there last year.
Well, I don't think he could do that. Do Mets players even do social outings in New York?
I was gonna say I never see Mets players courtside and stuff. I always see the Yankees courtside at MSG.
Well, it'll be interesting to see who's up. Well, nobody will be there tomorrow night because the game on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah,
some other good moments from this weekend. I don't know if you saw this Pirates moment. Jake Magnum throwing the ball up to the fan. His kid catching it for watching on YouTube.
That's a catch.
And that's probably his sister. Great moment there. That's why we watch. That's why we love baseball, man. Like, this one of the few sports that brings people together like that. We had Ryan Ward making his debut, 7 years in the minor leagues. Gets called up for the Dodgers. RBI single in his first AB. He's playing first, I guess, because Freddie Freeman is out on the paternity list. So happy moment for him there. And then we had Shohei Ohtani meeting this lady. Her name is Momoyo Kelly. She survived the atomic bomb in Nagasaki, Japan in World War II back in 1945. Incredible, moment there. She said, quote, "Meeting Ohtani was like a dream. He's the pride of Japan. I watched the Dodgers games every single day." She was 19 when the bomb hit her Japanese hometown. She then moved to work on a U.S. Air Force base and then met her husband and moved to the U.S. at age 26. She's 100 years old now, and she just got to meet Shohei Ohtani, get his autograph in Colorado. Cool moment. There's always great moments across Major League Baseball every weekend.
Great. William, we'll be back Friday, right?
Back Thursday or Friday. I guess the Yankees play Thursday. Is it a day game or a
night game? It's on Fox. I've already blocked off the schedule. Nobody can talk to me this week. Thursday night at 7:00 because I will be watching Cam Schlittler pitch.
Yeah, it is. That is correct. It is a night game.
That is the only guy. My mental health. Whenever there's a Cam Schlittler start, my mental health just skyrockets. I become Bruce. I go from Bruce Wayne to Batman. There we go.
Braves are up right now against the Phillies. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you already know who wins. But
let's go finish watching this game. Tampa just lost the heartbreaker to Montreal, and then Detroit. It's looking like they're about to lose. Detroit did lose the first game.
They lost to the Magic. Ooh.
Oh yeah, there's always one of those games in NBA that there's always all the high seeds win at home, defend home court, but there's always one series that did the low seed wins. It's remember when the Grizzlies were the high seed and they had the Clippers and they blew that game. That the Clippers came back from 25 down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a bad one.
Yeah, so.
All right, well, that's it. We'll be back later this week, Friday, I guess it is, to recap the week of baseball. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. trying to go for 500 subs. We're just over 400. So thank you guys for all of the support. Follow us on all of our social medias and whatnot. For my friend over there, Luis Bronco, I'm William Locke, and we will be back on Friday. Until then, catch you next time. Peace out.